Alright. Alright, today we're with Jason Bailey. Jason, where are you from?
Well, I'm from Birmingham. I've been here all my life except for college when I was in Tennessee.
Tennessee?
I was right outside of Knoxville, Maryville College.
Alright, that's alright. I thought you were going to say the orange word.
No, I wasn't, wasn't there. But no, went to Maryville College and 4 years there and studied music, and came back here and been playing music here ever since. And I actually currently do still have a place in Tennessee in Nashville, but I spend most of my time here in Birmingham.
Okay. And for those that don't know, we're in Fretted Instruments.
Yeah, Fretted Instruments of Homewood.
Okay.
The acoustic music shop.
And you specialize in mandolin.
I do.
Okay, did you begin in your music career as a mandolin player?
Not really. When I got a mandolin, then that's when I started taking it more serious. It really piqued my interest a whole lot more. In high school, I had a guitar, electric first, and then I got an acoustic. And was doing, that was the mid-90s, so I was doing the mid-90s rock and roll, things like Nirvana or classic rock like Jimi Hendrix, but it wasn't until I got a mandolin that I really started taking music more serious. And then upon going to college, decided that I wanted to study music and play bluegrass and all the modern offshoots of bluegrass. So it wasn't first, but it was really the catalyst for me taking music more serious.
Okay. And what sparked it? Was there any magic moment, or?
Well, there's a couple little things. I mean, when I first got my first mandolin, it was kind of an odd circumstance. I was, at my parents' house. I was asleep. It was a weekend. I was still in high school. It was right after my senior year, actually, and I was still there. And my parents had found a mandolin at a garage sale that was cheap, and they brought it home. And my dad knew that I, liked instruments and played a lot. He definitely supported my music, and so he, presents this, cheap mandolin and said, "Hey, look what I got." And the way I remembered, I probably was kind of like, oh, whatever, like a high school kid would be. But I remember, later picking up, going, "God, this thing's kind of neat, kind of cool." And it helped that none of my friends really knew a lot about it, so I learned a couple of chords, and all of a sudden that was cool. And so I kept playing. And then my biggest influence early on was probably David Grisman. I heard his stuff with Jerry Garcia and a lot of the other dog music, and at that time I had no idea that music like that existed, because I was previously listening to stuff like Nirvana or Jimi Hendrix or Bob Marley. So I got to the Grisman, and that changed everything. And I started basically just looking for all the musicians that played with him, looking for their albums and buying them, because at that point none of my friends listened to any of that stuff, so I kind of had to go off the beaten path and find all these musicians. So that was the biggest early influence for me.
Okay. What groups have influenced you?
There's so many. I mean, at this point everyone's an influence. I wouldn't know where to begin.
Okay. All right. If you had your dream group, what music would you be playing?
Well, I write a lot of music, so my dream group, I would want to be doing a lot of my compositions. But it would be something that was acoustic oriented, and a lot of my originals are kind of fusion, for lack of a better word, with a little bit of bluegrass, a little bit of jazz, a little bit of Celtic, maybe hints of classical. I'm not really a classical musician, but all that kind of mixed together, new grass, if you will. So I think something of that sort would be my ideal group to play with, if I only had one.
Kind of Bella Fleck-ish.
Yeah, somewhere like Bella Fleck or Grisman-esque, or Matt Flinner, who's definitely been one of my big influences on mandolin, stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you about a buddy of mine that around here. You ever play with Rick Carter?
Yeah, oh yeah. Played with him quite a bunch. And years back, occasionally there were times where their mandolin player at the time, who also played guitar, Barry Waldrop, couldn't make a gig for some reason, and they needed me to substitute. And we both have long hair and play the mandolin, so sometimes people didn't even know that he wasn't there. I've signed his autograph actually too. But yeah, I know Rick Carter. We play together off and on, you know, all the time. So
good deal. Yeah. Where do you see the future for Jason?
Well, that's an interesting question because I'm in a transition in my life right now. I mean, things are going great in Birmingham, but as I mentioned before, I have a place in Nashville, so I'm traveling back and forth. So and that is relatively new for me, so I really don't know what is going to unfold. As long as I can keep playing music and don't have to get a real job, then, you know, it's all going to be good with me, whether it's my dream band or not, you know. So that's, I don't know.
That's the right attitude. In Nashville, have you hooked up with some Alabama players up there, or Nashville players? What's that scene like?
It's still all relatively new for me, so I haven't gotten really immersed in the scene a lot, but I've known players from Alabama that have lived up there, and so I've contacted them, and we've been in touch. And then the last 2 albums that I put out, I recorded up in Nashville, and so the musicians that from Nashville that played on it, I've been in contact with them as well about stuff. So you know, at this point, I'm kind of, you know, just kind of putting my feelers out just to see what all is out there, and what, you know, what all I may be interested in, and vice versa, what all people would be interested in having me be a part of.
Okay. Tell me about your albums.
Well, the first one is called Southwood. Recorded it here in Birmingham at there was a couple of different studios, but I ended at Synchromesh with Jason Elgin, and it's all instrumental, all original. My second album is called September in the South. It was recorded in Nashville. Cody Kilby did the engineering, and he's a hot guitar player, and Andy Leftwich was the producer, and he's an incredible mandolin and violinist, or fiddler, and so they really helped me with all my original tunes on that. And it's mostly original. I put 2 songs on there that weren't mine, but friends of mine wrote. And then the third album is called Mandolbug, and it is also instrumental and all original, and Matt Flinner produced it, and Brent Truitt was the engineer in the studio for that one. But in general, they're all instrumental oriented, and original music. I wrote all the songs with the exception of a couple, and they're all kind of a fusion of the bluegrass, jazz, Celtic kind of stuff mixed together. Some songs lean a little more one way than others, but they all kind of mix all those elements in.
If somebody wanted to buy one, where would they find them?
Well, anywhere I am, you can find them. Herb usually has them here at the store. We've sold out the moment. I need to bring some back. You can find them online. You can go to my website, which is baileyjason.com, and it has several links. You can find them on iTunes. You can find it on Amazon, Rhapsody, pretty much all the places that you would normally download music or purchase CDs from online. It's available.
Jason, what kind of mandolin are you playing?
Well, I've got several. My favorites would be a Gilchrist mandolin or my Haydn mandolin. Those two are the, you know, just the best acoustic sound. One of my mandolins that gets played the most is a Collings. It's an A-style Collings, and it sounds great, and it also happens to respond well with a pickup. And so you know, a lot of times I have to plug in and I play it, so it gets a lot of play in because of that. Then I also play electric mandolins, and they get a lot of playing when I do a lot of the more kind of rock and roll oriented stuff. There's a handful of independent builders that I've sought out, and Rono is one of the people, and I have 2 of his. One's a 8-string mandolin, one's a 5-string with single strings. It's got a low one. There is Steve Ryder, is one of the people. Dave Wendler, and he calls his company Electroacoustic. His idea is that even though they're electric, they can respond a lot truer to an acoustic instrument at loud volumes than an acoustic instrument actually does. And then I have one by Roger Bacon, and he builds a lot of electric mandolins as well as like archtop guitars and stuff like that. So that's you know, that's my arsenal.
Okay.
Oh yeah.